Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. Hope everybody's having a great start to their week out there. And in today's video, we will be talking about a snowstorm across the Northeast and New England today and how much snow you can expect, as well as looking at the upcoming weather pattern through late February and the opening stages of March to show you what you can expect through that time frame later on in today's weather forecast. So thanks for everybody for joining and being viewers of these videos each and every day. I truly do appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for your support. Looking at our low temperatures this morning across the board, it is pretty seasonable out there. It has been a warm February as we have gone through about 12 days of the month now. Looking at our temperatures this morning, we are waking up to temperatures below freezing across much of the United States and even areas into the teens for lows this morning across the Rockies, the far upper Midwest, or even interior New England here, especially for northern Maine. This morning, the so-called milder air is further to the south across the Carolinas, southern Virginia, into Georgia here, and Florida, where temperatures this morning were waking up into the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Going into the afternoon, we got to realize we don't have a lot of snow on the ground here, if any at all, across portions of the central and northern plains, the upper Midwest, or the Great Lakes. That will catapult our temperatures well above normal into portions of the upper Midwest, getting into the 30s, the north central plains, depending on where you are. If you're in the Dakotas, into the 40s, into Nebraska and Kansas, we could be pushing into the 50s and 60s. Same thing in Missouri. And then further south from there, we're going to see more 60s across the southern plains, the Gulf Coast, and the southeast coast going through the afternoon. And looking to the north at our temperature anomalies, we're about 5 to 15 degrees above normal here, especially for the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, getting into Minnesota here, down into Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and also Wisconsin, and even parts of southern Canada, seeing those above normal temperatures heading into the afternoon time frame. Now, if you like detailed weather breakdowns on North America and the tropics, as tropical weather season is upcoming, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below for accurate weather forecasts right here on this channel. And I would love to hit 100,000 subscribers by spring, and each and every one of you can help me get there by subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and also pressing the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. So let's take you outdoors to show you what our current weather conditions are. And very quiet across the United States in general, outside of a few flurries here for the Dakotas and portions of Montana and Idaho and even into Wyoming. We do have a major winter storm ongoing across New England here in the New England coast today. And this is actually responsible, this low pressure system here, responsible for that, a 977 millibar low. And those of you that don't know, a low pressure system under 1,000 millibars. The lower the number, the stronger the low pressure system. And if it's under 1,000 millibars, that typically implies that you have a strong low pressure system. And look at that this morning across portions of Connecticut, central and western Massachusetts, Rhode Island, down into New York City there, into southern New York, Long Island, down into north central New Jersey, eastern and southeastern Pennsylvania, down into Maryland, northern Virginia. We have a widespread area of some moderate to heavy snow breaking out this morning. And those are the areas that are under winter storm warnings here, where several inches of accumulating snow is likely, especially in this pink shaded color. And that does include near the Boston region, Hartford there in Connecticut, New York City, and all of Long Island, getting into the Trenton region in New Jersey, and then back into towards the Poconos there into southeastern Pennsylvania. And looking at the timing of this system, what's left to go of it, going through the morning, a narrow but a potent swath of moderate to heavy snow bands. These could be 1 to 2 inch per hour snow rates from Maryland up through southeastern Pennsylvania, northern and central New Jersey, getting into southern New York State, including New York City, Long Island, through portions of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts this morning. So the morning commute will be slick across these regions. Then as we go through the afternoon, we'll start to wrap up our precipitation chances from west to east, but still hanging on to some snow and snow showers across areas of Nantucket there and Cape Cod, down through Boston there, Rhode Island, and eastern portions of Connecticut this afternoon. Then as we go into tonight, we'll clear that system out from west to east and have much drier times outside of a few flurries or snow showers for upstate New York and portions of Vermont and New Hampshire as we go through tonight. This is additional snowfall accumulation on top of what we have already seen in a potent swath, but a narrow swath of about 5 to 8 inches, maybe isolated 9 to 10 inches of snow still yet to come from this system. And zooming it in to kind of show you what our expected accumulations are state by state here across northern Virginia through northern Maryland there and getting into eastern and southeastern Pennsylvania. Widespread 1 to as much as 5 or 6 inches of snow. The highest amounts will be into eastern Pennsylvania there. Moving into northern New Jersey, we could see another 5 to 8 inches. New York City getting around 8 to 9 inches there, including Long Island. Getting into portions of Connecticut, especially southern and central Connecticut toward the Hartford region, around 5 to 8 inches more. Same thing over here into Rhode Island and eastern Massachusetts toward Cape Cod and Nantucket in the Boston region. 5 to 8, possibly up to 9 or 10 inches across this region as we go through that Wednesday morning time frame. This will be causing some travel trouble. So if you are heading out for school, for work out there, if you do have those things to take care of, just make sure to drive slow and leave plenty of time to get to your destination, as there are moderate to major travel disruptions likely through your Wednesday morning commute out here as the cleanup starts as we go into Wednesday across this region. Now let's look at our 500 millibar height anomalies, and what this basically shows, anywhere you see red, pinks, and oranges, those are where high pressure systems are, typically bringing milder weather and drier weather. And then when you see the blues and the greens, those are technically lower pressure, where you see more active weather but cooler weather. So you can see kind of a mishmash of both across the country as we go into midweek. High pressure building in very quickly behind our potent northeast snowstorm, but another low pressure trough will start to get going across southern Canada and the Pacific Northwest, right underneath of that ridging that is all the way up into Alaska and the northwestern areas of Canada by midweek. This is by tomorrow. That will send a cold front through the United States, and we'll start to cool down across the east as we go into later this week by Friday, and then into the weekend. We're going to see that colder air hanging around, especially across the Northeast and New England and southeastern Canada for that Saturday, Sunday time frame. So let's show you that here. This is your 5-day temperature anomaly, averaging our temperatures out from normal for that 5-day period through Sunday, February 18th. And notice we have a little bit of some cooler air out west and out east, and in the middle here across the north central plains, the upper Midwest, and parts of the Great Lakes and southern Canada. That's where we have temperatures that are above normal, at least just slightly above normal through that period. And looking at those temperatures daily here, you can see on Wednesday the 14th for Valentine's Day, very nice temperatures here, especially for the south, temperatures into the 50s and 60s. Here comes that cold front with the cooler air across the north into the Dakotas, northern Minnesota, back here into the northern Rockies toward Montana and Wyoming. There's are the 20s and even the teens for highs on Wednesday. Then as we go into late week on Friday, the cold front will reach Ohio, down into central and southern plains here. Behind that, temperatures will be into the 20s and 30s. Ahead of that, we're going to be into the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Then as we go into Saturday, a little bit of some return flow of some warmer weather, so a near seasonable day on Saturday, and then we start to see more warming as we go into your Sunday time frame with that 40 and 50 degree line surging back north across the north central states by later in the weekend. Now let's talk about our precipitation chances through the weekend here, starting on your Valentine's Day. Very dry, high pressure building in across the eastern 2/3 behind our potent snowstorm as we go into Valentine's Day, so very dry to the east. A little bit of some active northwest flow aloft. Remember, we have that cold front coming through, and that is coming through from northwest to southeast, so all this precipitation generally will be moving either from west to east or northwest to southeast. So we're going to see some snowfall with the Clipper system up across the northern Rockies and northern plains as we go into your Valentine's Day. As we go into Thursday, the first piece of energy could move across the Great Lakes, bringing us maybe an inch or two of snow across Michigan there, the UP of Michigan, and parts of southeastern Canada. More energy moving into the Pacific Northwest on Thursday. That will dive down across the middle of the country there into the Corn Belt as we go into Friday, maybe another inch or so of snow with that. Then as we go into Saturday, split flow here, so that means we're going to have high pressure in between with an active polar jet to the north bringing clipper systems mainly across Canada, but also the eastern Pacific moisture with that subtropical jet to the south bringing moisture to the Rio Grande Valley down here into southern Texas and near the Gulf Coast. So everywhere in between those two jet streams will actually remain fairly dry through the weekend on Saturday and into Sunday before we start to break that pattern, perhaps going in toward the start of the new work week by Sunday, maybe even that Monday timeframe, the 18th, 19th of February, as we have more snowfall moving into the Pacific Northwest. Overall, though, it's not going to be that big of a deal between Wednesday, Valentine's Day on the 14th through Sunday the 18th. Not really that much rainfall or precipitation to talk about, except for maybe out west in the Pacific Northwest. We could be talking about some decent rains for places like Seattle, Portland, into the Medford region, and then down in toward the Sacramento Valley here into northern and central California. Then we could be talking about widespread 1 to 3 inches worth of rain, the heaviest rains near the coast there of western Washington State, western Oregon, and northwestern California through the weekend. But a lot of this will be also in the form of snow across the north. A couple of clipper systems delivering, at least on grassy surfaces, 1 to 3 inches worth of snow here for the northern Rockies, the northern plains, the upper Midwest here through the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. And then back across the west, a little bit more moisture to work with. So I do think the parts of the Rockies here into places like Idaho, western Montana, into Wyoming here, around the Salt Lake City area there, into Utah, Nevada, and especially the higher elevations there of Washington and Oregon, down into the Sierras in California. There will be some areas seeing over a foot of snow with this pattern as we go through the upcoming weekend, but again, nothing we can't handle. Now, longer range toward the end of February here, this is the newly updated Climate Prediction Center 8 to 14 day temperature outlook that was released yesterday. And this actually shows near normal temperatures for a lot of us in the gray here. Outside of that, we have above normal temperatures favored really for the central and southern plains vicinity between February 20th and the 26th timeframe, essentially late February. And we have more active flow, not just out west, but over the top here across portions of the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, favoring that above normal precipitation in those areas, with generally at least slightly below normal precipitation for the southern plains, the Gulf Coast, and southern Florida during that 20th through the 26th timeframe. Looking at that a little bit further between the 20th and 26th, some of this could be excessive rainfall. So we'll get back into more flooding concerns for central and southern California, back into the Fresno region, back there into Santa Barbara and Los Angeles and San Diego, into the Phoenix region and Las Vegas, a lot of those areas in that moderate risk for excessive rainfall during late February. And we'll also see a lot of moisture into the higher elevations, so some heavier snows there for the Rockies, but also the mountain ranges out west there into Washington State and Oregon, and also the Sierras there in California, having more importantly a moderate risk of heavy snow during that 20th through the 26th timeframe. Now, if you are a snow lover and you want more snow before winter is over, here is winter's last gasp, I do think, as we go into the first week in March. And you can see, looking at this at the surface, it does look like a good look for winter. So you have the blocking up here into northern Canada and toward Greenland here, and then underneath you got lower pressure, the storm track further south, and the colder anomalies. So this is something we like to see. Now, when you look at this map and it shows temperature anomalies below normal, this is early March that we're talking about after all. So it doesn't mean we're going to see temperatures well below zero or anything crazy like that. But it does give you a general idea that our temperatures are going to be colder than normal for that time of year as we go into early March, especially for the western third of the country. And some of that colder air could bleed a little bit further to the east as well. Looking at the potential storm track now for early March. We're talking March 1st through the 8th time frame, that first full week or so of March. They have that low pressure system potentially further south across the southern plains. And much like we saw in January, there could be one or two big systems that start to move in this flow and actually move up through the Ohio Valley on the northwest side. We could see enough, at least marginal cold air. Doesn't mean it's going to be very cold. We could only see temperatures in the highs maybe in the 30s, but it could still snow in the 30s across this region. And then the warm side, more rain and severe weather on the eastern side of this storm track for early March. So here is early looking at this pattern, and you can see this does favor southeastern and southern Canada and the north central states for the snow here. This does not mean every single area in this region that you show and that you see in blue is going to see heavy snow. It just gives you an idea of where that storm track will set up with the heavier snow on the northwest side of the low pressure, and then there's that heavier rain on the eastern side favoring the east coast and the southeast. And we have to watch this. It is early March, so we'll have to keep an eye on the severe weather threat as we do get closer to that period as well. We will keep you updated, as that will change 1.5 million times, but I will kind of keep you updated on that as we do get closer, as winter's last gasp is coming. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I would appreciate that, especially if you enjoyed today's weather forecast. I will have more to come as well through 2024. Make sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday out there.